Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck. It's called Food Truck 101. And I am the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today, I'm going to be talking about a subject that is very, very important to all food vendors. And that subject is 7 things you should know before buying your very first food truck. Before I get into that topic, I want to remind you guys that I'm going to be in Houston, Texas here in about a week. It's going to be July 29th and 30th of 2024. We're going to be again in Houston, Texas, where I'll be a part of the Food Truck Owners Expo. I'm going to be giving 4 classes. 2 classes that are on marketing in the off-season, 1 on writing a profitable menu, and 1 on us as food truck owners and food vendors in general need to learn how to speak with one voice so that we can make positive changes in our own industry. After I give those presentations, I'm going to be out on the main floor. I'm going to be part of what's being called the Campfire Networking Lounge, and you guys can come and sit down and talk to me. You can either ask me questions or you can listen to me talk about a whole bunch of other different subjects on food trucks. So I'm going to be talking a whole bunch, and if you guys want to just sit down and socialize with me, please come join us in Houston, Texas. Again, July 29th and 30th of 2024. Go to ftoexpo.com, place your order for your tickets, and when you do, put in the code FTTG15 and you'll get a 15% discount. I hope to see all y'all there. I want to take a moment and thank Table Needs for sponsoring today's episode of the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Table Needs is a full-service POS system capable of handling your busy food truck cash, credit card, and reporting needs. Check out the link in the description for more information about Table Needs. There's a bunch of people that want to get into the food truck industry, which is awesome. I live to teach people. I live to help people become more successful. That's what I do. That's what the National Street Food Vendors Association is all about, helping people become successful. So I want to give you 7 tips, 7 things you should look at before buying a food truck, a food trailer, a hot dog cart, all of those things necessary for you to have a successful business once you make that purchase. Before you ever spend a penny to buy any equipment, you need to define your concept and then what does it need to produce that concept. I tell people all the time, the first thing you do is not buy a food truck, is not buy a trailer. Before you do that shopping, because that's the exciting part, spending money is easy. We all do it every day. Sometimes we hate doing it, sometimes we love doing it, but spending money is easy. You're building a business, so we got to do it in a logical order. You got to have that clear concept of your business. What type of food are you going to sell? And then test that food against people that are not a part of your family. You may have the absolute best barbecue and your whole family tells you how awesome it is, but when you get it out to strangers and people that don't care whether they hurt your feelings or not, then you find out that those flavors that your family tell you is awesome, it's just, it's okay. Okay menus won't make big money. Okay menus will at best be a job to you. So you got to define what you're going to sell and then test it and then source the ingredients. You got to understand your needs as far as where can I find all these ingredients and can I afford to charge what these ingredients are worth. So here's a little tip for you. I want you to, if you do not have a food truck right now, I want you to write a detailed list of equipment and features required for the menu you want to use. Do you need a fryer? Do you need a grill? Do you need refrigeration? How much refrigeration do you need? Do you need a freezer space? How about dry storage space? You got to think about all of those different components before you ever go shopping. Because if you don't know the answer to that, the salesperson is going to sell you a whole bunch of stuff you don't need. You got to make the decision, new versus used. It's easy to buy a new one because it's going to be brand new. It's going to be pretty. We all want that brand new car. We all want a brand new food truck or food trailer. It's the neatest feeling to step into it for the first time and go, this is all mine. But that may not be financially feasible for you. If you're going to buy a used one, make that decision early. And then understand what you're getting yourself into when you buy a used food truck or food trailer. Sometimes those pieces of equipment are on sale because people want to get rid of them. They're tired of the problems. It's up to you to suss out those problems and figure out, can you deal with them and fix them? Or do those problems even exist? Perhaps this person's just tired of the industry. But you got to make that decision. Do I want a new one? Do I want a used one? And if I want a used one, how do I inspect it so that I don't get taken? And then sadly, on the flip side of that, if you want a new one, how do I investigate the builder to make sure they're not going to take me for a ride, either in length of contract being, we're going to build it in 4 months, and it takes 18 months. I've seen that happen before. Or they lock you into a contract that says, when we put yours in the line, the price are probably going to go up because everything's rising. That's not how contracts work. There are a lot of people that will sign those contracts, but I'm telling you right now, the money you put down for a down payment needs to lock in the end price, because that down payment, in theory, should be there to reserve the equipment and the materials to build your food truck. And it's not your fault that the builder doesn't have enough space or enough foresight to buy in bulk. That's not your worry. Tip number 3, whenever you get the food truck, whether it's brand new or used, inspect it thoroughly. If it's brand new, get them to explain in detail how to do everything. How do you fill the water? How do you empty the water? How many valves are there? What do the valves go to? Does the hot water work? How long does it take for the hot water to heat up? How's the propane work? How does you turn it on? And turn on all the propane. Make them put every piece of equipment on. And you want to make sure that the propane that they have feeding into each equipment can actually sustain each piece of equipment when it's on. Now, if they're going, well, I don't want to put oil in your fryer, put water in it. You can set it to 200 and turn it on. And then you just got to watch it. But you want to make sure that when you start to get busy, that propane will fuel every piece of equipment you got in that line. It is no fun to get out there because the builder turned on each piece of equipment in sequence and showed you, hey, it works. It works. And then you get out into the field and find out that the end fryer won't heat up because it's starved of propane. Test everything. Get up underneath. Look at how everything is put together and assembled, whether this is new or used. You want to check it out. Get up on a ladder and look at the roof. Is the roof wavy? Did they put enough sealant around all the different places where they cut through the roof? Look at the window. Look at the doors. Are there sealant around the doors? Look at the sink package. Did they put enough sealant around the sink where it attaches to the counter? You want to look at everything, because if you don't, whatever problem pops up, it's on you. Because the builder can just say, it wasn't like that when it left the lot. You want to understand your food and safety regulations. So food pertains to the food permit and whatever your state requires of you to get a food selling permit. Licensing a restaurant, licensing a food truck, you have to have that food specific permit. You're not just selling a product in general, you're selling food, which has its own licensing standards. And then you got to deal with safety standards. In particular, it's going to be fire safety. You got to understand those before you ever think about buying a single food truck or food trailer. Common regulations that people fuss and fume about. Ventilation systems, that's the hood system. It costs money. Typically, if you got a fryer, typically if you have a flat top grill or even a charbroiler type of grill, even if it's propane, even if it's electric, it has to have a hood, and it's most likely going to have fire suppression, automatic fire suppression. Why does it need those things? Because if something catches on fire, it's going to get out of hand really, really quickly, and for most people, it's going to scare the crap out of them. I've worked in restaurants 47 years. I have seen exactly 0 fires because we take safety seriously. The closest that we ever came to having a fire in a restaurant that I ran was we had a light fixture that smoldered because one wire burnt through. So I got up there, removed the ceiling tile to see where this little waft of smoke was coming from, and it was coming from one light fixture. And all we did was cut the power, and guess what happened? No more smoke. Cleanliness matters to keep you safe and prevent fires as much as having that automatic fire extinguishing equipment, as well as having those portable fire extinguishers. All of those things add up to keeping you safe and secure. So don't cheap out at that point and go, well, I'm just not going to have a hood. They don't require it, so I'm not going to have it. Your safety should be very important to you, and I bet if you go to hire employees, their family is going to want to ensure that their safety is paramount to you. Consider the truck size and the layout for the equipment before you ever go buy one, and especially if you're going to buy a used one. There are a whole bunch of used units out there that are thrown together by untrained builders or do-it-yourself builders, and then they're trying to sell it as a premium product, and the thing makes no sense in its layout. You cannot do a bunch of 360s every time you need to pick up a product to turn around to cook it. you will get tired really quickly. You can't go back and forth. If you have a fryer, there needs to be an empty counter at minimum for you to land the fried foods. You have to have space to work in. So all the equipment has to relate to each other, and it has to make sense for your menu, and then it has to make sense for, can we get this food out of here quickly? You have to think the layout through. Just because they're a builder doesn't mean they know how to do a layout. I have seen too many builders that should not be doing layouts. Building the thing and making it safe is all they care about. They don't care if you're going to work your little butt off or not. They just want to make a sale, and they want to do it in the most efficient way for them to be able to build the food truck. You want to evaluate your financing options. Are you going to self-pay? Are you going to get a bank loan? Are you going to do an SBA loan? Or you get friends and family to invest? You got to understand that before you get into it. Where's the money coming from? Is it difficult to get a startup loan? Yes, it is. Is it impossible? No, it's not. It's just difficult. One of the ways that you can help ensure that you get a startup loan is to self-fund small, generate some sales and consistent sales, and make sure that you set that up into a business bank account so that you can show, look, over the last 6 months we've had this amount of money going into our business account. Then you might be able to qualify for SBA loans. You might need a cosigner. But in any case, you got to do the things that make sense to a bank to prove that you're a business and that you're viable. And again, it is difficult, but not impossible. So don't listen to the people that say you can never get a startup loan. Yes, you can. It has to be done in a certain way. You want to make sure that you plan for maintenance and you plan for upgrades. The food trailer, the food truck is going to need maintenance just on the trailer part or the truck part. Has nothing to do with any of the equipment on the inside. So you got to maintain the wheels and the brakes, the headlights, the engine. All of those things need to be maintained, and you should have everything on some type of maintenance schedule so that you don't forget. It's what calendars are for. Now, once you've got all the equipment as far as the facility, which is the truck or the trailer itself, on some type of maintenance list, you want to get your equipment on maintenance lists as well. Anything that burns propane needs to be cleaned. Otherwise, it's going to build up soot, and then the flame will not be as efficient, which means you'll consume more propane to generate the same amount of heat, which means you're spending or losing money. So all the equipment needs to be on some type of list. Anything that's got moving gears, like a bun toaster, needs to be oiled frequently. It'll have to have cleaning and parts changes. That all needs to be incorporated into your budgeting so you understand what you're getting yourself into. Maintenance helps you to keep the equipment longer and longer. But if you don't maintain it, I can guarantee you're going to have problems. Some of the things that people forget. Your refrigeration system, your freezing system needs to be cleaned periodically. When those condenser coils get dust buildup or grease buildup, the airflow becomes inefficient, so they work harder and harder to maintain temperature until they get to the point where they don't maintain temperature. So every time that's working harder and harder, that means your generator is staying at a higher RPMs, which means it's burning more gasoline. All this stuff ties together. You want to keep everything running efficiently from day one and then maintain it so that you can keep your costs low. If you find that you're using more propane or gasoline, don't say, oh, I'm awesome, we're busy. Figure out if you're really busy. Sometimes that indicates there's a problem and there's going to be a breakdown. Purchasing that big piece of equipment, whether it's a truck or a trailer, that's a significant step as you are on the road to launching your food business. But you want to make sure that the point that you're spending the money on those, you are very well ready to, as soon as you get the thing in hand, get it inspected. You don't want an asset of that expense sitting idle any longer than it needs to. So remember, just to define your needs, understand the regulations, plan for maintenance, and you will eventually find a truck that meets your requirements and supports your business goals. Don't buy the first thing that comes along, because you may have to make modifications you just won't be happy with. The right food truck is the foundation for your food business. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Take a moment to follow our podcast, and if you really like what we do, show us some support. There's a link in the description to make that happen. Every little bit does help keep us going. Until next time, you guys have a profitable day.